Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 342 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I hope you're doing well, and I'm really glad you're here hanging out with me. It's fun being with like-minded people, isn't it? People that we can share our ideas and our thoughts with and just have great conversation. It's one of my favorite things to do. Just a good conversation over a great cup of coffee with someone that's really interesting. So I had an epiphany recently, and I know this may be coming out of nowhere, but I have an arrogant streak. More confession time. I'm always confessing on this podcast. But no, I really do. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say you do too. But don't worry, we're human. But I realized my arrogant streak when I was having a beautiful conversation with someone that I really cherish. So a group of us were sitting having coffee, and it was a lovely morning on vacation, and we were having a conversation about religion. Taboo, I know, but we're comfortable enough in this group to discuss that. But one of my dear friends, who's actually one of my favorite people, he said to me, I really hope, Heidi, that you find God again. And for a brief moment, flashes of my upbringing and the judgment that I endured for leaving that religion and how I felt people were constantly trying to bring me back to what they believed was right and the way that they worshiped. Because that was the only right way, right? And now here I am as an adult in a completely different setting, completely different religious conversation, but feeling that same feeling of someone thinking I was lost or missing something, or that same feeling of someone thinking, that I was on the wrong path because I don't believe and worship just like they do. It was kind of a familiar feeling, except now I'm in a totally different place in my life. And I'm more curious about his statement than anything because I know he means it with love. Actually, I'm really glad it happened because it made me aware that I did really used to think there was something wrong with me because I didn't find joy in the religion that my parents are part of. And normally, though, I would feel the need to justify. But now I just know in my heart that I'm happy just the way I am. So there's no need to justify or be offended or feel like something's wrong with me. None of that. It's something that's perfectly normal for him to feel. He wants to share his joy, but also for me to feel okay with not sharing joy in the same way. There's nothing wrong with me. I just find joy in a different way. That's a really freeing feeling. I'm happy that other people find joy in their religion, and that doesn't mean anything about me if I don't. So when he said that he really hoped I find God again, I was less offended and more curious as to why he thought that. And so I asked him what he meant by that. And he proceeded to tell me about his relationship with God and how they spend a lot of time delivering food and furniture, and they go on mission trips to people in need. And what a beautiful feeling it is when he experiences that. Now, I could tell it really touched him because he had tears in his eyes as he was talking about it. But he said he wished I could have that same feeling. He also mentioned a moment when another friend who was also at the table with us had donated furniture for the church that he works with downtown, and how he wished that they could have seen what it felt like to deliver that furniture to people in need. His wife and him, they do truly beautiful work with this church. And throughout the year, they are always giving things back to the community. And he wishes everyone could experience the feeling in that way. So I let him talk, and then I say, but how do you know that we don't experience that feeling? You see, we all do this. We think that just because something really works for us and makes us feel a certain way, that it might make someone else feel that way too. And it also confirms for us that we're on the right path. There's a bit of that too. But we're a little arrogant in thinking if you aren't living exactly like me, you aren't getting the same joy that I do. But that assumes that every single person finds joy in the same way. It also assumes that there's one way to live to find joy. And if you're not living that way, then you're on the wrong path, or you're lost, or you're missing something. Now, religions do teach this because it creates a much needed identity for that group. We're better than you. If you really think about it, it's not just religion, it's every group. People who do yoga versus people who lift weights, people who eat meat versus people who don't, people who vote Republican versus people who vote Democrat. There's a bit of arrogance in all of us when we form an identity with a group. Not saying that's bad. Identifying with a group is at the base of human nature and at the base of human need. But does that mean people not in that group are lost or missing something? I don't think so. Not every time. My husband, Eric, before I met him, he decided he was going to give Christmas to a family in need. He wanted to, there was a program at his church that he signed up for, and they gave him a family and that was really in need. And he went out and he bought gifts for the kids and clothes and food. And that part really brought him joy, the idea of these kids enjoying that. But when he actually delivered it, because he did so himself, it was really hard for him. That part did not bring as much joy because the mother was a little embarrassed. The kids were kind of hiding, and it was a really bad part of town, and it weighed on him. He realized then and there that's not his role. He gets joy from the act of giving anonymously. He does not need to be the one that delivers it. So back to my conversation with my friends on vacation, I told my friend that story and how our joy comes differently from donating behind the scenes. And then I asked how it was any less joyful for my friend that donates the furniture, because they do that a lot. They get their joy from donating. See, it's no less important than being the ones on the front line delivering that furniture. Both roles are super important, the delivering and the donating. They don't need to see it delivered to find joy. They know it's going to a good cause. Both are beautiful acts, but differently experienced, and one couldn't take place without the other. My friend only meant love by what he was saying. But we have to be careful when we assume that our way of worshiping and our way of living is better than someone else's just because it brings us so much joy. It's never a problem to want to share your joy, but when you assume someone else is lost because they don't go to a certain church or they don't give of their time and money the way you do, kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? I mean, we want to feel good and we want others to feel good, but it's our ego that thinks other people should live the way we do in order to be happy. We all do it. I think everyone should eat like I do and exercise like I do. In my mind, they would be so much happier. But guess what? That's my ego. That's my arrogance talking. In Dr. Atia's book I'm reading right now, it's called Outlive. I've talked about it before, but he has worked with enough patients on nutrition that he knows what's ideal for one person can be really bad for another person. Not all bodies are the same. Everyone's body is unique in its nutritional needs. I didn't realize that. Just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. So my friend gets great joy from delivering directly to those in need, but my husband Eric finds it much more joyful to just donate anonymously. Both are very important, but Eric just finds joy in a different way from our friend. If you find joy in something and your joy emanates from you, the people that get joy from the same thing will be drawn to that and want to be part of it. So just like our sailing trip, okay, there's 8 of us. That vacation brings all of us so much joy. We all say it's one of our favorite vacations we ever go on. We go together every year. And at one point we had added another couple, which made it 10 of us. It was so much fun. But this other couple did not find the same joy from that trip. They found it stressful because you do have to go with the flow and be kind of adaptable. You never know what the ocean's going to give you. Could be very, very bumpy. And we're often dealing with a broken boat part, even on a new boat. It happens every time. So there is some stress involved, but that's part of the adventure and excitement for the rest of us. So it's hard for us to imagine someone wouldn't enjoy it, but they didn't. So they don't want to come anymore, and we're back to 8, and that's just fine. We love that couple and always will. They aren't missing anything or lost or on the wrong path because they don't like that trip. Now, I think they're crazy, but that's my ego. There's my arrogance talking again. I think it's crazy because I love it so much, and how could they not? But I bet they think we're crazy because we do love it so much. You see what I mean by us all having an arrogant streak? My point is to just recognize when you're well-meaning, but also assuming that someone else is missing something or lost because they don't identify with the same group or don't worship the same way or eat the same way or find joy in the same way. You be the most joyful version of you that's possible and let others do the same. Don't assume they need the same things you do or lack joy because they worship differently. They're not lost. They're on their own journey. And also, don't be offended if someone assumes you would be happier if you were like them. Be flattered because they care about you. And also be curious. Who knows? You might find joy from trying something new. But there's nothing wrong with you if you don't. Maybe you're happy just the way you are. Share this with 3 joyful people. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.